All right, Ethan Rich, man. Good to see you. It's been a long time. I don't know if you remember me. I used to coach at Terry Sanford, and like long time ago, long time ago. And you were, I don't know what grade you were in. You had to be in like ninth grade at the time.
It was freshman
Um,
year, yeah.
Freshman year, yeah, man. You've come a long way. That's for sure. It's been cool to see. I always try and keep up with like North Carolina. I'm in South Carolina now, um, covering a lot down here. But I always find I'm always like kind of looking and seeing what obviously what Terry Sanford is doing and just you because obviously you have such your potential level is so high. How's it going, man? How you been?
I've been good. Um, Everything's, you know, felt good recently.
No, it's good. Honestly, I kind of like starting these off with just a little bit of um, everybody kind of knows you as Ethan, this runner, this elite runner in North Carolina. But what are some hobbies like outside of running that you are kind of big into?
I really enjoy lifting. That's one of my big things that I do. Um, I enjoy like just, enjoying my time playing like pickleball sometimes and, sometimes basketball and um, hanging out with some friends, um, playing with my dog and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, typical kind of stuff. I think it's kind of interesting because I know your dad is like he's really big into running as well. How did you get started? Did you just kind of follow in his footsteps, or was it something that um, like something you wanted to do on your own, or like how did all that kind of come to be?
It kind of started with him, taking me out running maybe in like fifth, sixth, start of sixth grade, and then I, oddly started enjoying it, and then just wanted to, like he had a running streak at the time, we were running every single day, and that's something I wanted to start doing. So that's when I started doing it in April 2020. Yeah, it was April 2020, and I really enjoyed it from the start, and then it kept me going, and it's just something I wanted to do for just keep going with.
Yeah, well, you definitely kept it up, and obviously it really fits well, kind of in the family. We go to last cross country season. That's where I kind of want to start, and I still think of you as that freshman, kind of, following some footsteps, learning some new things, and to where you are now, and especially last season. Um, how how has that been? Like, how was last season? Did you know going into it you were kind of starting to unlock a new level, or was it noticeable that like, hey, running 5:15:16 is achievable?
I think my sophomore year of cross country, um, I showed myself that I was capable of some stuff, but I wasn't like, as serious as I wanted to be. And I think it was after cross country season, start of indoor, that like my training just I ramped it up entirely. And by the end of outdoor season, my sophomore year, I was in a spot that I never thought I would be in. And I thought, this is perfect setting me up. And I wanted to go low 15s cross country season my junior year. And last summer of training was just tough, like tough days stacked upon each other. And I really think that my training has matured, and I figured out like what works for me. And once I figured that out, like I feel like I completely reached like where I needed to be, and put myself in a great spot last year, and built on that again this year.
Yeah, I love how you mention like finding um, like what works for you. I think there's a lot of times where, I mean, even as adults, uh, you are consistently trying to like find, what workout plan works for you. I've gone from high miles to low miles to everything in between of cross training. So to kind of find that early on and obviously it has shown really great success with you. It's a really good thing. Do you have any like favorite courses in North or South Carolina or even outside of the state that you've kind of been to?
I would say Um, I really like Hagenstone Park. That course is in Greensboro. I also really like McAlpine out in Charlotte. Those are probably like my two favorite courses that I've ran on.
Yeah, the Foot Locker course is always a good one. I was actually just out there last week with the family going on easy run, and it's always just nice. And then I'm surprised, a lot of people too that I kind of get. Maybe it's just a South Carolina thing, and they love North Carolina courses, but they always say Wake Med. Uh, that NXR
Wake
course
Med's a
is
fun
it.
one too. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a that's a pretty intense downhill the first mile. I was lucky enough
yeah, it
to do
is.
that. Um, I was able to do the community race a couple years ago for NXR, and I was this was the first time actually racing it. It was fun. It's a tough course
Yeah,
though. It's actually a lot. It's a tough course, but it's
it's a
fun.
great course.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So we go kind of back. I want to kind of tailor it back again to the training. Um, are you kind of like a high miles guy or low miles guy? Like, are you focused on your heart rate a lot?
I
I
think
feel like I've looked at your Strava before, and I don't know. It seems like it's high miles, or it seems like it used to be high miles. Is that accurate or wrong?
I think I do. I'm not as high as some people do. Some people will go more than 60. Last cross country season, I think I sat at 55, and then track I sat at 50 this year. I'm more of a quality over quantity miles guy, so all my miles were done under 7 minute pace, easy runs and everything. Um, Heart rate is not like that's not my main focus. Obviously, if my heart rate is like unusually high, I'll worry about it. But I'm more of a easy runs are not meant to be super easy. They're meant to be that's part of the work is my easy runs. That's what I picked up during I think cross country season last year. Maybe the the summer training. I think I started working on that, and that's what I think brought me to my new level with fitness and whatever. So, I mean, I guess 55 miles is a little high, but like it's not as high as some people do.
Yeah, no, that's interesting you say that. Because again, it's everybody's so different. Um, and then like how they approach miles. I don't feel like I ever really like thought about miles in high school. At least my senior year, I never really thought. There's kind of like a tradition for the seniors to do a 100-mile week. So we would double most days and then have like a really solid long run. But like, so I don't know, maybe we were hitting about 50 to 60 miles a week on a normal time. But it's so I feel like it's so different nowadays to where people are like focused on the heart rate and focused on like every little knick-knack and cranny of it. I haven't really heard. I do like quality over quantity. I've actually tried that before too. But it's interesting to see how that works for you. Being able to run so fast and because most people do kind of think like, yeah, easy runs are going to be super easy and low and slow and all that jazz. Um, but it works. It works for you, which is really cool. Um, Obviously, let's talk about states, man. Like, what a feeling that must have been. Was that something you um, I don't want to say expected, but did you have? I mean, obviously, you probably had high expectations going to that race. Was there any time during the race where you knew you kind of had it in the bag?
I think we're approaching 3K, maybe at like 2,700, 2,800, something like that. And I was just looking around the field, and we were on that long straightaway down alongside the road,
Hmm.
and I was looking around at the pack that I was with, and I could just sense, everyone was exhausted at this point, and like just tired, more tired than me, and I was just cruising along. I felt like I was on an easy run at that point, and I was like, yeah, I think with a mile to go, like I think I can torch these guys. And that's the point where I was like really confident in myself. And then when I made the move at a mile, like when I looked around, I was like, well, this is exactly what I expected to be out all alone this last mile. So that's when I really thought, like knew I had it.
Dude, that's like the coolest thing ever. Like to be like, holy crap, this is easy. Like I'm gonna do this thing here. That's friggin' awesome. Um, was there a game plan going into that? Like just kind of sit with the leaders for a while and then kind of, like you said, like with a mile to go, just torch it or
The game plan, yeah, was to sit back and not lead. I wanted to make sure the pace didn't go out at something super slow. I didn't do a great job of doing that. It still went out like 10:04 through 2 miles, so a little bit slower than I wanted. But I was fine with it. I just didn't want to lead the first, 2 miles, even 3K, and I think I ended up, pushing out to the lead a little past 2K, so a little bit earlier, but I hung back still and didn't make a push or anything. Just felt out the guys and see how they reacted. But with 2 miles to go, that's when, I wanted to throw in that heavy surge and see who wanted to stick with it. That was the game plan, just the 2 miles, throw in a surge, and then, see who responds and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like everybody seems to have a game plan, and then it just like some go according to plan, and others just kind of blow up in their face in the first mile. But no, that's cool. Now, just curious, I've seen it a lot. I've seen when guys do Foot Locker South, like after states. I mean, I don't know. It seems like sometimes it does kind of go sideways. Was that something like were you tired out, you think? Or it just maybe the pace went out too hard, you weren't expecting something like that? Because you were capable of doing it. With the cold maybe, or
So what
walk me through
happened
that Foot
was,
Locker performance.
I had ran 15:18 on that course earlier in the year. It was a week and a half after states. I got really sick.
Hmm.
They said it was walking pneumonia. Um, I was like bed sick for a couple days. It was on a Wednesday I got sick. On Saturday I tried to race a 2 mile, ended up running 9:53, almost passed out. Just barely able to, qualify for the indoor state meet at that race. Um, and then it just never got better. I think the day before the race, during my easy run, my heart rate was 190 average. There were points in time where I looked at my watch and my heart rate was 200. At one point, it was 200, like 14, I think. So I was really sick. And during that race, I think 400 in, I was out of breath. I couldn't breathe. I had mucus in my lungs, and like it was just bad. I almost I think down the home stretch, I almost passed out. I just was my body was done. It just couldn't handle it, which was really disappointing because the qualifying time, the last qualifier was 15:09, I think. I ran 15:18 solo on that course early in the year. I just caught a bad sickness at the worst time. That's what happened.
Yeah, that is pretty unfortunate. And it's curious because Foot Locker is such a that race alone is just so interesting because yeah, like that. Like one year it'll be 15:09, and the next year it'll be like 14:50 is to get you
Yeah.
out. It's always hit or miss on those days. So you just got to be prepared for anything. Um, so going into track season for this year, then you come off a really strong cross country season. What were some of the goals kind of leading up into this track season?
So, initially, that sickness, it took me 2 months to fully recover. So I didn't even get fully recovered until mid end of January. So I had bad training sessions up until then. Um, so it was like a month out from states, like 3 weeks out from states, where I finally felt like myself again. Um, and the goal was the same, just to go out there and try to win races and run fast times. Um, Obviously, indoors, I think I got third in both the mile and 2 mile. Um, and that was impressive for me, saying that just a couple weeks earlier I could barely run like 60s for 400 and struggle and not be able to finish workouts. So I don't think I finished a workout until almost February. Like finished a workout that I set for myself because I just couldn't do it. Um, so that was impressive for me to be able to pull something like that off after all that I'd been through. Outdoors, um, I actually set goals for myself because I was feeling good and training well. Um, I wanted, I solely focused on the 2 mile during outdoor because I want sub 9. Um, The mile, I just, ran that for fun, when I got the chance, basically. The goal was still the same at state, still to win. Um, Ended up not happening. I just, not my day. So,
Yeah, yeah. So you talk about like indoor. Do you feel like is that a decision that your dad, or your coaches make of like doing indoor? Because obviously, like it seems like indoor is really not. You don't have to do it. Some people
yeah.
just skip right into outdoor. Is that something that you really wanted to kind of pursue, or like what goes into that thought process of doing that?
Typically, race. I think I raced 3 times during indoor. I used it mainly as a training block. So I raced one time at Virginia Beach just to, shake off some rust before states, and always want to run states. I don't want to skip out on that. Um, so that's not a question. The real question was if I wanted to do nationals or not, and I really wanted to go run at Nike, so we went and did that. But I don't race a lot indoors. I typically just focus on building for outdoor season, and then typically use something like states as just my big meet that I do indoors.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I can agree with that. It definitely if you taking it as just kind of a side quest of training and trying to knock something out too. 904 obviously is so close to that nine barrier, and once you break nine, you really do fall into a different kind of category of elite high school running. Um, walk me through that 904. Was it like when you go through the first mile, or even maybe the first 800, are you noticing like, hey, this is going to be a fast one?
Yeah, so the pace was set for I think 8:56 or something like that. So because they had Pacers in that race, so I knew it was gonna be fast from the start. Um, but yeah, through 800, we were right there on pace, and even through the mile, I think I came through in like 4:31 or something like that. Um, but then like the top four, I think, made a surge that I couldn't cover, and I was left on an island for I think lap 5 and 6, maybe until 600 to go. I was just all alone until people came up to me and passed me, and I could work off of them. So that was just a tough middle part of the race where I was just left on an island all alone. But I knew that something like that would happen. The ultimate goal was sub 9. Got close. Um, but that's my first time I think I've ever gone out for a 2 mile all out in a race like that before. So it was really nice to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, and again, and it's cool though because obviously, I always think of them as like stepping stones. Like you got to get to one to get to the next. Now it's like okay, 904, you're right there. So the next one is yeah in that 850 range. Um, we talk about. I know we mentioned states earlier, and obviously not the results you really want. Um, but at states like especially for the 32, because I know the 16 obviously was not something you were mainly focusing this year. But for the 32 at states, again, is that like when you go into that, are you thinking it's going to go out kind of slow, or you don't anticipate anybody at all trying to get a PR that day? Like, how does it play into your cards? Because at some point you're kind of like, well, I know I can go, faster than what is probably going to happen. Like, where does your game plan fit into all that?
So I knew I was prepared for anything. I was prepared for somebody because there was some fresh guys in the race. So I was prepared for somebody to take it out hard. But I was also prepared for a tactical race. So like I knew my game plan in either way, like where I'm gonna make my move, how I'm gonna do it, like depending on the pace. I was prepared. Um, a kid ended up taking it out, and we let him take a gap, like a 50-meter gap. Um, which I figured that would happen. So I wasn't like shocked or anything. I didn't panic. Um, I just let him go. Didn't go up to the pace because I knew he was fresh. I knew I wasn't, so I wasn't gonna try and hang with something I maybe fell off at. So I wasn't gonna, you know, have a 50-50 and potentially die out. So I sat back and ended up having to lead the chase pack, the entire way basically, which was not preferable for me. I didn't really, want to do that, especially because it was windy at that time. So I had to take a lot of headwind. Um, but I think, with a lap to go, maybe the kid started fading and, the kid up in lead, I thought, I could get him. So, I ended up catching him with 170 to go past him. He completely fell apart. But then I hit 100 to go, and I just, kid came and better kick than me is what it was. And I was dead, couldn't respond to anything, and just got it taken from me with 100 to go, which was extremely heartbreaking because I thought I had it.
Yeah. Now, in a moment like that, I really want to key up on that because that's interesting. What you say is, you know, the guy he opened up a 50-meter lead on you, and you didn't go with it. And it's so interesting because that's pure tactics right there, and honestly, a lot of self-confidence too to kind of be like, hey, like we're gonna catch up to him, let him go do his thing. Um, in a moment like that, is that just like a split second decision of you're just like, nah, I'm not gonna go with it, or is it like if anybody goes, I'm just not gonna do it? So it didn't matter who there was. Like if it was, what if it was three guys that went? Would that have you think may have changed your decision not to go with it, or was the
It,
plan
it
always to kind of sit back?
I think if multiple guys were gone, I would have, gone with them because, a three-man pack is harder to catch than a one-man pack because three can work together and, push each other. But one person, can only push themselves so much all alone, especially into headwind that we had. So I knew eventually, he was gonna start feeling it, taking it out hard like he did, and feeling that wind, um, and the pressure that comes along with being in a state championship race and you have a big lead on everybody. That's a lot of pressure on you. Um, but I knew that, I had a strong, I could close strong over the last two laps. Um, however much, like whatever I needed, I knew I could do, and I was fully confident in that, and I wasn't worried. So I didn't, panic, try to, push too hard too soon. I waited back until I knew like I was confident and working my way back up and closing hard.
Yeah, and no, it really is. It's so interesting because I think those kind of decisions are they really are. They're kind of instantaneous sometimes, and maybe not even in just this race alone, but just in general of having to make those decisions and walking into a game plan, and then it changes right before your eyes. When it comes to, are you on break right now, or do you plan on running like I think New Balance is coming up,
I'm
or
running New Balance, the
you're running
2 mile
New
New
Balance?
Balance. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thought process in doing that is it just because you want to get another race under your belt before kind of? I assume you're going to take a break before getting ready for cross, or you kind of just like, did you take a break already and now we're in cross training, but you're just doing this?
No, I typically, I'm gonna be racing next Friday, so then I take, until not the Monday afterwards, but the Monday after that, so I can start on a dead Monday, and so I think that's just 9 days, I think something like that, um, and I'll start is the 30th that I'll start my cross training, but this race is just, you know, I want to run at Franklin Field up at Penn University, so that's my top spot, like top number one that I want to run at. And for two, I want to break nine. So that's my biggest goal, and that's what I want to do. I want to have another shot at it this year.
Yeah, and you talk about breaking on and having the opportunity. Such a great iconic field to do it at, honestly. Um, any concern when it comes to like cross training then, or not really? Like you're gonna be able to kind of pick back up and have enough rest to get ready for the season.
Yeah, I did it last year. And last year I had a really good cross country season. So if I did it last year, I know I can do it again this year. And I'm definitely a stronger and better runner. Um, but I just the first, month or two of training for cross country, I don't do any workouts or anything, so I have plenty of time. I just like I have from, the end of June until November for Foot Locker to get ready. So I have so much time. So I don't do any workouts in July, even half of August. No workouts, just straight mileage and build up. So I'm not worried about getting up to a faster level because I already know I'm better than I was last cross country season. So and I think I just need to build on it, and that's all. And I got plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, you do. There is plenty of time. It's always so curious because especially because you do indoor, and you have such a long. It really is like I think most people think of like year-round sports as like soccer, like year-round and like club
Yeah,
soccer. And they don't really take into account like running is really turned into a year-round thing with all these cross country and then obviously like running lane goes into I think like the first week of December, and then you're already kind of starting to get into indoor season, and then you have outdoor like which goes all the way into June, and then you're already kind of getting back into the groove of things for cross. So it really is starting to turn into a year-round kind of sport in itself. Um, as we kind of gear up now, I get we're still in track season, but I do want to take it to cross 25. You're the number four returner in North Carolina heading into the season. Do you look at the rankings at all, or just don't really pay attention to them?
not typically. I don't, focus on that stuff because I know who I am, and I know that a number, like I'm not tied down to a number, and I know that I can beat anybody, you know, like in this state, like I know I can beat anyone. So I know that numbers don't matter.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. I was talking to a girl the other day, and her ranking was like 125 from last season going in. She was running like 1920s, and then she just had a really good track season, ran like 507 in the mile, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be such a dark horse. Like rankings really don't mean anything at this point.
Yeah.
Um, when you look at expectations, obviously a consistent, probably sub 15 is something you're thinking about. Is there a certain time that you kind of want to hit this year for your senior year?
I know that, no matter what race I'm in, I can break 15. I know that for sure. Um, my biggest plan is just win races, come out on top of big races, stick my nose in things that like maybe I couldn't do last year, and stick up at the front of these big races, like especially at Wake Med, like Adidas and Great American. Those are big races pulling a lot of talent. I want to be at the front of those races and be in the runnings. And I know that, if I'm at the front, times will come with it. So I don't have to worry about that. I just need to race and, compete for the win.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. A couple more questions I just want to kind of ask real quick. Competition level. I feel like North Carolina always has been pretty pretty solid when it comes to the level. South Carolina has really developed over the past year, especially this track season. Um, do you notice talent around you? Is like maybe are there more runners kind of towards the front nowadays, or like even on the track, are you noticing like dang, like a lot of us are running really fast times, the times that would have won state 2 years ago are not at all winning it now?
Yeah, I think I noticed that at the Carolina Disc Carnival when I went 9:04. The previous meet record was 9:12. Um, and four guys broke nine. I think 17 guys were under the meet record, and 16 guys were under 9:10. So just seeing that was just like, it's like that's a big difference from last year where the meet record was 9:12. And that's what won, and this year 8:56 won. So seeing that, it was just like, yeah, like running is getting like here in North Carolina, and I think there were some Virginia and South Carolina runners there, just getting a lot better, and there's more people that can run these fast times, and it's exciting because the competition is just getting better and better, and races aren't easy to win, and that just makes a win that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool. It really is cool to see just the level of competition continue to grow, and especially like meets like that. Um, where they put on just these massive meets for and people come and it just breeds competition, breeds PRs. Uh, Obviously you did Foot Locker last year, Foot Locker South. Um, I'm assuming that's going to be on the cards this year, Foot Locker South, or are you
It will
looking at
be,
like
yeah.
an XR? You just want to do Foot Locker?
We haven't, discussed that. Like, I haven't really put much thought into that, into NXR, but Foot Locker is 100% what I'm going to be doing. That race is guaranteed. Just because last year it was disappointing, being so sick and not able to race. Like I barely like even ran well. Like I did not run well at all. Um, so last year, having the hopes to qualify and knowing that I probably could have, just makes me hungry to just get back in the race, and have a healthy race and qualify for Foot Locker.
Well said, Ethan. Definitely look forward to seeing more from you. Again, it's been really cool seeing just the freshman you kind of develop into what you are now, and obviously expecting a really great season, whether it turns great or bad or everything in between. Proud of you, man, and I'm sure your father is as well. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Um,
You're welcome.
yeah, man, definitely take care.